Welcome to TestRoom, your go-to hub for professional knowledge sharing. In this video, we will explore the database library in Robot Framework and review the various functions it provides to interact with different databases. To start, let's navigate to the official documentation for database library. Under the resource section, you can find a link to database library. Let's click on this. This will take you to the official GitHub page of Robot Framework database library, and here there is a link for the keyword documentation. This documentation provides detailed information about the database library, starting from the requirements, installation, basic usage, and handling the multiple data connection, and so on. This provides a comprehensive guide. Let's go through each section step by step. Let us skip the requirement section as we already have the prerequisites needed. We already have a Python and Robot Framework. Let us go to the installation section. In the installation section, it clearly says how to install the Robot Framework database library. We can install the Robot Framework database libraries using pip install Robot Framework database library. But here also there is a clear note that it says do not forget to install the required Python database module. Robot Framework database library is a wrapper around Python database module, and it allows you to connect and work with different databases. If you scroll down, here we have the list of database modules that you need to install in order to work with different databases. For example, for an Oracle database, you need to install Oracle DB or CS Oracle. For MySQL, you need to install PY MySQL. For Postgres, you need to install PSY COPG2, and for MS SQL, you will have to install PY MS SQL, and so on. For today's session, we will be working with MySQL. I have already set up and installed MySQL on my local machine along with the necessary database configuration. Now let us go and install MySQL Python module first. So you can go to PyPI page. Let's copy from here and let's go and install it. Installation is completed, and after that we will go and install the Robot Framework database library. Let's copy this. The installation is complete. Installation is complete, and we are now ready to start working with the database. Now let us navigate back to the usage section to understand how to use the database library. To begin, you need to import the database library into your Robot Framework file using the library keyword. Connect to database keyword establishes the connection with the database. It takes the database module as a mandatory parameter. So in case if you are working with Oracle database, then you will have to pass Oracle DB as a parameter. In case if you are working with MySQL, you will have to pass PY MySQL as a parameter. So in this case, we are establishing connection with the Oracle database here. Okay. Along with that, it also needs a connection details like the host name, the port, the username and password to connect to your database, and the database name. Once you establish a connection, you can perform different operations with the database. Like you can query the database, or you can perform certain operations like you can create a table, you can populate the tables with the values, you can delete a table, and things like that. Okay. The query keyword allows you to execute a single query. It takes query as a parameter. It can also include another parameter called as an alias. This is very important when you are working with the multiple database in a same section. This keyword returns the result of the executed query. So here we have established a connection to our Oracle database that is running on this particular host, that is on the local host. And when you run this query, if the query is successful, it retrieves the result of the query into the variable. Okay. Additionally, database libraries provide two important keywords to work with the database. They are called as execute SQL string. We can see here execute SQL string. This keyword is used to execute the multiple SQL statement separated by a semicolon. If you see, you can execute the multiple SQL statement which are separated by the comma. Okay, it is primarily used for performing certain operations other than querying. Okay, in order, if you want to perform any other operation other than querying, then you can use execute SQL string, such as creating a database table, deleting a table, populating the values to the given table, etc. Okay, so you can perform these kind of operation using execute SQL string. Okay, so the query is only used to query the database, whereas execute SQL string is used to perform the operation on the database other than the query. So there is another keyword by name execute SQL script, which is similar to execute SQL string, but instead of passing the plain commands as part of the keyword, you can put all these commands inside the SQL file and pass the path of the file to this particular keyword, and it will execute all the commands inside this SQL file. There is also a keyword to disconnect from currently active database or disconnect from all the database. Then remaining keywords are mainly to do with an assertions, right? Like check if the particular data exists in database, check if particular data not existing in a database, check the query result, check the row count, if the row count is greater than something, if the row count is 0, and things like that. Okay, this is basically all the set of the keyword that database library uses. Let us go and explore them one by one by doing an practical exercise. For this demo, I have set up MySQL database by name test group. This is my database under which I have created 3 tables: employee details, employee salary, and employee departments. I have also prepared few queries to retrieve the data from these databases, which I will be using it for my demonstration. The query select star from the employee details table will retrieve the complete data from this particular table, complete detail from this particular table. Let us go and execute it. So I have the 12 rows of information, which contains the employee ID, employee first name, employee last name, employee age, gender, and date of birth. So if I want to retrieve only the first name, then I'll have to give, instead of star, I have to give the parameter as first name. Select first name from the employee details table. This will list out only the first names. Okay, so let us try to execute select star from employee details table. Okay, I'll create a new script under test scripts. Test database dot robot. Under the settings section, then I have to import library by name database. So let us copy from here, database library. After that, let us create test cases, then, or we can also create let us directly create a test case. Verify, or yeah, verify employee details. Okay, under which I will basically go to, yes, I will be working with the MySQL, so I will copy paste this one. Then I need to fetch these details for my database. So I'll go to my workbench. Then under the database, I have a managed connection. The host name is 127.0.0.1, that is a local host, and port is 33.06. Let us go and, yeah, this is already there. And I need an username. The username is, I think, root. Sorry, the username is root. And then the database name is test2. I can take it from here. And I also need to give a password. What I have done is I have stored a password in the variable under the basic data robot, that is under the test data, and I am assigning this value to the db password, the parameter, right? So after that I need to query, and for the query I need to use the query keyword. So I think I'll copy this and then I'll paste it here. I can give as the rows, and query, my query is, this is my query. It should be separated by one space. And alias is MySQL. Then I will try to log this. And let us go and execute this. You see, the connection is successful. Then I am also able to retrieve the data, but the data is retrieved as a tuple here. Okay, it's also another, it's a kind of a variable, like you have the scalar variable, then you have an arrays, then you have a dictionaries. Tuple is also another kind of a variable. So it retrieved the complete information. So you have these are the rows, right? So there is one row, there is a second row, and third row, and so on. This is how we can connect to the database and retrieve the data from the database using a query. The data that we retrieved from the database using this query is a two-dimensional data because it has got the rows and columns. If you want to retrieve an individual data from this query, then what you have to use, you will have to use the row and the column indexes, right? So if you want to retrieve the April, then the row index will be the 2 and the column index is the 4. But while using an array, always the index starts with the 0. So the first column will be at 0, the second column is at 1, the first row will be at 0, the row number 4 is at 3. So in order to retrieve April, then the row, the counter will be 3 and the column counter will be the 4. So let us go and use this in our script. So let us try to retrieve April, and I can use this variable. Then I'll have to use the indexes. The first is a row index, which is 3. Second one is the column index, which is 1. This should display as the name called April. This should display as the first name as April, and after this I want to close the database connection, that is using the keyword disconnect, right? Disconnect from database. Let us go and execute this. If you see, it retrieve April. This is how we can basically retrieve a data from the table using the row index and the column index. Now let us try to use few assertions that is provided by the database library. Let's check query result. Check query result checks the values in the query result returned from the running the particular query. Okay, the syntax is check query result, the query itself, and then the assertion here. It contains ln and things like that. And let us go and copy this and use it here. So here I will be using database dot, and I will comment this statement instead of this query. I will use this query and I will remove them, and it should contain, I think it should contain the value Dona, for example. Let's try to execute this. I think test case is failed. In type is not iterable. I think we have to, here I think we have to specify, the row and column value. I can use for this, the row is 1 2 3 4 5 6 and column is 2. I think I can specify something like this. Let us try. I don't know whether it will work or not. Row equals to 6, column equals to 2. Let's try this. I think this is failed again. Yeah, this gives us a Perkins. Where is Perkins? Yeah, this is Perkins. So it always starts with the 0, right? Always starts with 0. So I'll have to reduce by 1. Yeah, I have to reduce by 1. So this will be 5. This will be, is similar to our index. I think this is passed. So this is how basically we can use check query result. Let us try to see the check row count. It is similar. We can also give equals to. Instead of this, I will try this here. I will comment this and I will use database, I will use database library, this one, and after that my query, and my number of row count should be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 12, right? It should be equals to 12. So I have to give equals to value equals to 12. This is what they have given, the syntax. Yeah, let's let's copy paste this and then let us try to replace. No, correct. Yeah, so that is equals to, what I have to do is I will have to replace this one with this query up to here. Yeah, then I can use it. Yeah, let us try and go and execute this. Yeah, this is failed. Yeah, this is, sorry, my mistake. This should be equal to 12. Yeah, this is passed now. This is how you can use check row count. The keyword row count basically gets the row count. We can also use the keyword here, row count. We will comment this. We will use the row count. Then we have to give the query and then we can store them in rows equals to, then I have to use log. Then I have to use logs and log with rows. Yeah, this should give me the count as 12. Let us go and execute this. The value is 12. Similarly, we can also use the row count is 0. This is for the comparison. Row count is 0. It is deprecated. It seems it checks if any rows are returned from the query. If there are, then this will throw an assertion error. Okay, basically it is expecting a 0, but if it is returning any row, then it will throw an assertion. For example, if I try this, basically I have 12 rows here. If I try this should throw me an assertion, right? Because I am expecting 0 here, but I am actually getting 12. Yes, this is failed. Expected 0 rows, but you are getting 12. This is how you can use this. And similar to this is also equals to x, where x is equal to 12. We can basically specify x equal to 12 to x. Let us use this, where you can say the value of x is equal to 12, right? We have to specify this. This is also passed, right? This is also passed. Then what else we have? Yeah, these are all basically the assertion queries, but we did not use execute SQL string or SQL script. We will try to perform certain operations, maybe try to create a new table or try to delete a table and things like that. We will try this example as well. Now I will be using the keyword execute SQL string, using which I am trying to add a new record. So I will copy this command. I will comment this. And my query will be inserting a record. So what I will be doing here, inserting into employee details, employee ID, the first name, last name, age, gender and birth date, and the values are, these are the values I am going to add it. Okay, so let us go and execute this, and if it is able to create a record, add a new data. Let us go into my database and refresh this, and now try to execute a query. You see the new data set is been added. Earlier we had 12 rows, now we are having 13 rows. So the new data set with the employer 13, the first name as, let's see, this particular record is been added. That is what I have been adding here, right? So this is the value I am adding, right? So this is how we can make use of execute SQL string to insert or to perform certain operations with the database other than the query, like inserting, deleting a table, or dropping a record and things like that. Hope you understood this. That brings us to the end of this session. In this video, we explored how to connect to the database, execute the queries, perform actions like adding a data to database tables and things like that, and how to use the database library Assertions effectively. I hope you enjoyed learning with me. If you found this video helpful, please consider supporting my channel by subscribing. Thank you for watching.